This episode of Table Talk is dedicated to my baby boy, Elliott Grayson Quinn, born into heaven April 12th, 2019. I love you, and I miss you, buddy.
Hey guys, welcome to Table Talk. I am Patricio, aka Rocky. Tonight we are joined by Mr. Mike Quinn.
Hello, everybody.
And Kirsten from JFE Podcast.
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Tonight we're gonna cut back from the chaos. We're gonna cut back from our funny giggles and all that good stuff because we have a serious topic to talk about, and this is where I yield. And Mike, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. All right, so you know that I'm the funny, goofy guy on the show, and I really don't like to bring anybody down, and I like everybody to have a good time. But it's gonna be hard.
Take your time, buddy.
Some recent things happened, and you guys know that we've been talking about the baby on a few past episodes and everything, and Elliott unfortunately did not make it.
When did you guys find out?
So it's been a journey because we found out. I mean, he's been kicking less and less, and then last week, Tuesday, is when the doctor did the ultrasound. And he was like, there's no heartbeat. There's nothing there.
Wow. So it was like sort of like a downward, like.
So he had a series of complications, and we figured that he had been suffering the entire time, and he was essentially dying inside the womb. Mm-hmm. And that Monday night, he must have died in his sleep, or maybe early that morning, I don't know. But between last Monday and last Tuesday, he died inside the womb. And when we got to the doctor, we did the ultrasound, and he
was, and I'm sorry to ask this, could there have been something to have prevented it, or it was something that was inevitable? With
spina bifida, because that's what he had. So
explain to us what spina bifida
okay, so
is.
Let me just go back and rewind and kind of give you the whole rundown. It's a bit of a story. So Leslie and I have been wanting a baby for a while, and so before we moved to Claremont, we lived in Apopka for a while, and we tried having a baby then, and we found out we were pregnant, and the baby died at 8 weeks. So at that point, it really wasn't anything. At that point, it was like a little embryo sperm at that point, or like a little swimmy tadpole.
It was a small fetus. I mean, it was
a very, very tiny fetus, yes.
Okay.
But the weird thing is her body held on to it for another 2 weeks. And we got an ultrasound at 10 weeks, and, those nurses, they legally can't tell you anything, even if they do know.
Yeah.
And so at 11 weeks, her body just got rid of it on its own. But
what's super hard is you went through that.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that
you
was...
wanted a kid.
That was devastating because, like, we've been wanting a kid for a little bit, and then after that, we kind of not stopped trying, but, we would use protection more often than not, and then
to avoid that emotional.
Yeah, for a bit there.
But you still wanted kids.
Yeah, we did. But then fast forward to here in Claremont, live in Claremont, we tried again, and it was, I want to say middle of October during Horror Nights, because it was in our downtime, and Leslie texted me. She goes, "Hey, I have some news." I'm like, "What is it?" Now, don't freak out. I'm like, "Well, don't tell me not to freak out, because I'm going to freak out."
Yeah.
And so she says, "Hey, we're pregnant." And I pause. I'm like, really? Question mark, exclamation point. She goes, yes. I'm like, yay, baby. And so we were really excited. And then we started going through the process of getting all her blood work done to make sure her levels were good and everything.
Yeah.
And then, and so getting ultrasounds and make sure, because the very first ultrasound that we got, it was me, my mom, and Leslie. We went to this it was a nurse's office, and then we saw the little baby as a fetus. We didn't know what it was at that point, but we could see little teeny tiny arms and everything.
The development, yeah.
Yeah. And then later on, doing the blood work and everything, after the blood work, she went in to her OB. And man, I really don't like this guy. So she got the ultrasound done at her OB. And this was at around, I want to say, 12 weeks, right?
Okay. This was 2018.
Yeah. No, this is this year. No. Yeah, 2018? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018. And after he did all the tests and everything, and even when the blood work came back, he was like, oh, excuse me, baby's fine, baby's perfect, nothing wrong with the baby. Your AFP marker is a little high. And for those of you who don't know, AFP marker is the alpha-fetoprotein, and that's basically, it's a protein that's produced by the liver when developing the baby fetus, and it's kind of helps with developing the embryo, and it's kind of like the same thing in like bird eggs and stuff like that, so it's helpful in the developmental stage.
Okay.
And you don't want it to be too high, you don't want it to be too low, you kind of want it to be
just right
in the middle.
But I mean, is there some sort of supplement that you can take to? Is this anybody's fault?
No, it's just she was always good about taking her vitamins, good about taking her prenatals and everything. But,
so it just happens.
Yeah, but the messed up thing is that when the OB said, "Oh, your baby's fine," the FP marker's a little high. It's a false positive, but we get those all the time, so don't worry about it. Like, because I wasn't able to go to that appointment, I was at work. But if I was there, I'd have been asking questions. I'm like, "Well, why is that? What does that mean? Can we go for another, appointment?
More blood tests, more something.
Exactly.
Just give me more information."
And then, but, we didn't think anything of it. And so, around 25 weeks, she goes to her actual doctor, and this guy's really good. He was one who actually found, during the ultrasound, that Elliott had spina bifida, so the OB lied to us.
Or the OB just was negligent.
That could be the other thing.
It borders on the line, like, and I'm talking on a legal standpoint, that it could have been negligence, or that it was too early to identify. But I feel that with the advances in medicine,
you would still be able to see that.
You would still be able to get signs.
Even between 10 to 12 weeks, you would still be able to see any abnormalities, even at that early on. But when we hit about, 24, 25 weeks, that's when... No, it was 17, 18 weeks when we found out. And then we're all freaking out, and then that's when we start researching spina bifida and the different types of spina bifida, and we find there's like 4 different types. And then, if I may, just...
Yeah,
okay,
please.
so...
Go ahead.
Educate us.
So there's 4 types. There's... I don't even know if I'm saying these right, but there's the occulta, closed neural tube defects, meningocele, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and meliomeningocele. And when we found out that he had spina bifida, we were hoping for the occulta one, because that one is the least severe. It's the most mild case, and if he would have had that, he would have ended up with like a limp. He would have been walking with a cane, with a walker, maybe been in a wheelchair for a bit. Like, you guys know who Hank Williams Sr. is, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
That's what he had.
Okay.
And he went on to lead a great career.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what we're hoping for. And then we went to... Oh, give me a minute. Hang on.
Sorry, bro. If we need to take a break, you just let me know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. The differences in the first couple that you named.
All right, so let me just give a quick rundown. So, occulta is the most mild one. Closed neural tube defect. Consists of a diverse group of defects where the spinal cord has some malformations on it, the fat, the bone, whatever, and then it's got some other symptoms with it. Meningocele is
with the brain.
That's where the where you have the fluid on the brain. I keep forgetting what it's called. And then that's also very bad. And then and then the most severe one, meningocele, that's just where the with all four of them, they all four have a lesion along the spinal column, but with each one, with the occulta, it's lower, so it's not as severe. But the higher up it is, the more severe it is, and it's basically where your spinal cord is coming out into that lesion. And so what they have to do, they have to kind of cut around that lesion, try to realign everything, stitch it back together.
Oh Jesus!
And so, ultrasounds can only see so much.
Yeah.
And we went for the MRI. And with the MRI, you can't miss anything. The MRI shows everything. And that's where we saw that not only did he have spina bifida, but, he had the worst of the worst of everything. Let me give you a quick rundown. Hang on.
Take your time. I mean, we're all here listening to you, and we love you, and we support you.
Thank you.
100%, man.
Whatever you need.
All right, so here's what he had. The spina bifida that he had, it was so rare, and it was the most severe kind. Maybe 2 or 3 other people in the world only had this.
Holy shit!
So
Wow.
there was almost no information on it, and his entire lumbar section and everything below did not develop at all. It wasn't even there. So he essentially had floating hips. He had his hip bones, but from his lumbar and everything under that was just not even there. He had caudal regression, where his legs wouldn't fully form. He had club feet, but that can kind of easily be fixed.
Not easily, but
I mean,
where there's a will, there's a way.
in the course of like 6 or 7 weeks, the process would have eventually straightened out his feet.
With amazing parents, yes.
Well, I mean,
Which you guys are. So.
thank you. So he also had, along with that type of spina bifida, his urinary tract and his intestines, it made him so they weren't compatible with life. So he would never be able to go to the bathroom on his own, so he would need a port on his stomach.
Decatheter.
Basically, and he would need to be flushed out every day, every 3 hours.
Tons of people do that. That's fine.
And he had the water on the brain, and then also a section of his brain did not form.
Jesus Christ.
So
Wow.
he would have had some form of mental retardation. We don't know how severe. We don't know what section of the brain didn't develop. So had he been able, had he been born and not died in the womb, we won't, if he was in any kind of pain, there'd be no way for us to tell him because he wouldn't know. The only thing that he would know is he'd be hurting, and that's it. So after we found out everything, at that point, we were just being passed around from like doctor to doctor to doctor, and everybody's telling us the same thing.
And you flew all the way out to Colorado for this, correct?
The very last doctor that we seen, he was the one who told us, hey, there's a specialist in Colorado. He may be able to help you. It's not 100%, but he may be able to help. So we're figuring, hey, this is probably our last shot to see if we can do anything. So last Sunday, early Monday morning, we flew out, landed in Denver, drove out to Boulder, and then we met up with the doctor, told him what's going on, did the ultrasound, and that's where he's seen everything. He's like, ultrasound's basically confirming, everything that the reports are saying. And so, maybe I can put you on this prescription, see if this helps, and then later that night, back at the hotel, we don't really know what to do, and then because we're kind of freaking out, and then